What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. This is MTZ Automotive. My name is Jose, and today I will be showing you guys how to install an engine oil cooler on a 2007 Chevy Tahoe. Currently there are no videos up on YouTube for installation of engine oil cooler for this vehicle, so hopefully this helps out a lot to a lot of people. And here's my setup. I got a 19-row Mishimoto aftermarket oil cooler, universal. Some oil cooler lines, dash 10 AN, which is 5/8. You don't want to go any less than 5/8 hoses, because that'll just drop your oil pressure, and we don't want that. And we got ourselves an adapter for LS engines or LS based engines. This is gonna connect to your oil cooler ports right above the oil filter. I'll show you where that is at too. And this has a thermostat, 180 degree thermostat integrated, so that whenever your oil warms up, it'll start running through the lines. And I also got a oil temperature gauge, so that we can get a reading on our oil temperature from Glow Shift, and that is going to hook up to this little port right here. This is 1/8 MPT. So here's a closer look at the adapter. There's the thermostat, and I will put a link in the description below to everything that I have here. So let's get started. Now, to start out, it's just gonna be like a regular oil change. You lift up the truck, or if you can get up underneath the truck without having to lift it up, then that's fine too. Now, I usually put my truck up on the ramps to do an oil change, but this time I'm using a jack because I'm in the shop today and there's clearance issues. And also I am going to have to disconnect my drive shaft, so the tires cannot be touching the ground or the ramps. They have to be suspended in the air, I think. So yeah, I'm gonna get this vehicle lifted. Remember to use jack stands, and we'll get started on this oil cooler install. Alright, so we're here underneath the vehicle on the passenger side, and we're gonna start by draining our oil. These are your oil drain hole right here with a 15 head millimeter bolt. So I'm gonna get that off and start draining my oil.
Great teacher, Miss Lindsay, and the 1993 book of Mark Spell.
Alright, now to take our oil filter off.
get it.
Oh, you were doing good, man. What you doing?
Respeto no pido como muchos tienen. Ese, aquí va, here's to you. La F records. You started.
Alright, so now I'm on the driver's side of the vehicle. And to continue with our oil drain, I'm going to remove my oil filter. What I always do is drain most of the oil first, put my plug back in, and then come back to the oil filter and drain that. Let that drain out, and then finish draining the rest of my oil out after I drain the oil from the oil filter. So what I use is a K&N oil filter, and these have a welded 1-inch nut on the bottom side for easy removal, and I have my 1-inch socket right here. Perfect fit. So we're going to take that off and proceed. So we got some oil. Alright guys, so while my oil's draining, I want to show you guys the oil ports that I was telling you about, where I'm going to hook up my adapter to. Is right there. It's blocked off from the factory with just a block off plate. It's right above where the oil filter goes, right here. So that has two 10mm head bolts holding it in place, and you can probably take it off no problem, but in order to be able to get your hands in there and a tool, you have to disconnect your drive shaft to be able to get in there. So I'm going to finish up here, put my oil drain plug back in and my oil filter. Got my own new oil filter right here. Remember, put a little bit of oil in there and rub some new oil around the gasket so it doesn't go on dry. And we'll come back and take off this block off plate. Alright guys, so I got my drive shaft disconnected, and there's a oil block off plate or bypass, whatever you want to call it, and that'll give us more access to freely get some tools in there and work without bumping into anything. So I'm gonna get that taken off right now.
Dang, even with the drive shaft disconnected, it's hard to get in there.
So there's a closer look at the bypass block off plate. It's just a little indentation. And there should be a gasket in there. You want to make sure you take the gasket off. your gasket. Make sure you get that out of there too. You want a clean, flush mating surface with the adapter. Alright, so let me see if I can get a closer look in there. That is where your oil adapter, oil cooler adapter ports, that's where the oil adapter is going to go. So I'm going to get this cleaned off real good, and then we'll get our adapter installed. Alright guys, so we're ready to put our oil adapter in, and we're going to get this set up. But first, if you guys were wondering why I took a sample of my oil, is to send it in to get an oil test done. This is from Blackstone Oil Analysis, and what they do is you send them a sample of your oil and $30, and they'll send you this analysis of what your oil contains, like particles, debris, shit like that. So yeah, you just go on their website and request a kit, and they'll send you a kit for free, and you just send it back to them. Even the label is free. Alright, so back to this. So I got my 10 a.m. fittings. And they're gonna go in here. But first, I'm gonna get oil on these gaskets so that they don't mess up on me. I'm tightening. Alright, so to tighten these, you just take your adjustable wrench, and if you don't want to mar these or scratch these, mess this up, just wrap some masking tape around your adjustable wrench, because these are really expensive. And they actually stop on their own. You can just feel them stop. Alright. So that's tightened up. Alright, next is connecting your oil lines. Connecting to the in port is going to be a 90-degree swivel 10 a.m. fitting, like that. See how that swivels freely? And you don't need to put Teflon tape. These are engineered to screw on flush without having to do that. And my fitting for the out port, it's a 60-degree swivel fitting, so that's going to go on here.
genie out of bottle. Some chicks that used to strip, asked to wax the Maserati. I said forget the wax, just make it quick, just like Serato. That Spanish chick that love the chip, she the Dorito lady, she ready to Frito. Let me El Gusto, it's me, oh baby. I hear some sharks talking like they're gonna DOA me. Go ahead, jump in that water, promise this torpedo's waiting. I dropped a lot of verses, but I know I'm proud of mine.
Alright, next we're going to install our oil temperature sensor, and you will have to put Teflon tape on that. And that's gonna go right here in this little hole here where it says sensor. Alright, you don't want that super tight, just tight enough where you feel some resistance. Alright, next is, this is for the oil pressure gauge, and I'll probably do a video on that separate, but I'm gonna go ahead and connect this now, because if not, I won't be able to later. Alright, and that's it for a setup. Now to get this on the oil ports. So this is how it's going to go on the over the oil port. As I showed you earlier, these holes line up with the oil ports above the oil filter right there. And it comes with your bolts and your gasket, and we're going to torque these down to 10, I think it's 10 foot-pounds, but I'll have to look that up again and make sure. Alright guys, so there's a visual on the adapter or the ports. Now all you need to do is torque it down. The bolts are Allen head 3/16 or 5 heads, 5mm. I'm trying to get you a better visual of what it looks like. Right there, with the fittings and the oil line connected. So now to torque down. Alright, so these get torqued down to 120 inch-pounds or 10 foot-pounds. You want to make sure your Allen tool is well seated, because you don't want to strip those. That would be a difficult spot to strip something. Alright, so there's that first one. And the second one, 120 inch-pounds. And that's it for the installation of our adapter. Now to connect my drive shaft back on and connect my lines to the oil cooler. Alright guys, so I got my oil lines routed for the engine oil cooler. One up through here behind the master cylinder and around the fuse box. Right into in front of the radiator. Another one through here, also in front of the radiator. Now to open that bad boy up and get it installed. So here's my Mishimoto engine oil cooler, 19 row, and that is gonna go somewhere right there behind the grill in front of the radiator. Alright, now to add some engine oil in it. Alright, so metric calls for just barely a little bit under 6 quarts of oil, but since we're adding the oil cooler in the lines to compensate for the oil loss, we're obviously going to have to put a little bit more oil in that. So I'm going to put my usual 6 quarts and then some after I get it turned on and flowing. Okay guys, so I got my engine oil cooler filled with oil and my lines connected. I just gotta tighten them down, and it's sitting loose here in front of the radiator, but I just want to turn the truck on first to see how it runs and see if I gotta add more oil. Then we'll add a bracket later. So in order to build oil pressure before turning it on, you gotta disconnect the relay to my fuel pump.
Some channel locks, man. You got no blades.
And that's gonna build pressure, and then I'll connect it back and restart it.
Hold on, let it charge. I told you you had your key on.
Why you in here, bro? You should be out there with the camera.
Because low oil pressure.
It's building oil pressure, dude, through the line.
There you go. Open the key 6 times. 1, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. 1 to Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4. No, let it build oil. You gotta wait 5-second intervals. You gotta.
Man, you don't know shit about that. You drunk.
Hey man.
You know it's recording, right?
I know it's on record. I know how to capitalize REC.
Alright, now to connect our fuel pump relay back.
There you go. I can't get you. Man, where's your gloves at, man? Oh. Alright. So this is your standard 5.3 Vortec. He got an upgraded K&N air filter. Look at that. Adds horsepower. He got the regular alternator. I know that. And not even, look, it's still good alternator shit. Boy, he hasn't even bought a new one. They ain't even shiny or silver. You need a new pulley for right there. Look. There's rust, man. You can't change the pulley. I'm just talking shit right here. But you got your oil canister right there. That's all.
Alright, so the most important thing you gotta do is check for oil leaks. So I'm gonna look down here. Let's see if I have any oil leaks. No oil leaks. Now I just gotta let the oil warm up and build pressure. Cause remember we got that thermostat on the adapter, so the oil isn't gonna go up through the lines into the oil cooler until the oil thermostat opens up. Thanks. Still no oil leaks. Alright guys, I added more oil, so we seem to be at proper oil level. My oil pressure seems to be working fine. I did get the check engine light, so I will have to hook up the scanner and see what that is. I'm just gonna let it warm up and drive it around for a bit and keep checking for leaks just to make sure everything is in order. I'm not completely done yet. I still have to go back and secure that engine oil cooler to the bracket, or make a bracket for it. But for tonight I'm gonna call it a night because it's late and it's cold, and that's it for now. We'll continue tomorrow.